I hope you enjoy my stories. Instead of just clicking thumbs down, please comment and share how we can do better. If you do like our video, then please like and subscribe. The Salem Poisoning of 1830 marks a particularly intriguing and somber moment in the early decades of the 19th century in the United States, setting itself apart from the more widely recognized Salem Witch Trials that occurred in the late 1600s. Unlike the witch trials that were centered on superstition and the fear of the supernatural, the Salem Poisoning incident unveils a narrative driven by the intricate nature of human interactions, the swift spread of fear, and the perilous effects of rumors and misinformation. This event unfolded in Salem, New Jersey, a location far removed from the Massachusetts setting of the witch trials, yet it similarly captivated the public's attention and shook the foundations of a community. The series of poisonings that occurred created a climate of suspicion and hysteria, demonstrating how quickly trust can erode within a community under the right conditions. As the people of Salem grappled with the reality of the poisonings, a flurry of accusations ensued, echoing the witch trials' atmosphere of distrust and fear of unseen enemies. These accusations not only tore at the social fabric of Salem but also highlighted the vulnerabilities inherent in societal structures when faced with inexplicable occurrences. Families and neighbors turned against one another, driven by the fear of becoming the next victims. The impact of the Salem poisoning was profound, leaving a lasting imprint on the affected community. The aftermath of these events led to a period of introspection and a re-evaluation of the ways in which such crises were handled. The collective paranoia that had swept through Salem served as a grim reminder of the destructive power of unverified information and the importance of maintaining rationality and compassion in the face of uncertainty. This episode in American history, though not as well documented or remembered as the witch trials, offers valuable insights into the human psyche, the dynamics of fear in communities, and the enduring challenge of navigating the fine line between caution and hysteria. Salem, New Jersey, in the early 19th century, was a small, close-knit community where everyone knew each other, and secrets were hard to keep. The town's peaceful existence was shattered in 1830 when a mysterious illness struck several of its residents. Symptoms included severe stomach pains, vomiting, and fever, leading to death in some cases. The sudden and unexplained nature of these illnesses sparked fear and speculation among the townsfolk. Families were gripped by panic as they struggled to understand what was causing their loved ones to fall ill. Rumors swirled through the streets, with some suspecting foul play and others fearing a deadly outbreak of disease. The once tranquil atmosphere of Salem was now overshadowed by uncertainty and suspicion, as residents searched for answers and sought to protect themselves and their families from the unknown threat lurking within their midst. The first reported case was that of a well-respected family, where a member fell ill under mysterious circumstances. Despite medical attention, the patient's condition worsened, and they eventually succumbed to the illness. Within a short period, similar cases were reported, with victims showing almost identical symptoms. Families watched helplessly as loved ones suffered from excruciating stomach pains, relentless vomiting, and high fever, all without any apparent cause or cure. As the death toll rose, panic ensued. The community, desperate for answers, turned to local physicians who were baffled by the symptoms and unable to provide a clear diagnosis. This uncertainty fed the growing fear, leading to rumors and accusations as people sought to find the culprit behind the supposed poisonings. Suspicion fell on various individuals, including neighbors, acquaintances, and even family members, as the townsfolk struggled to comprehend the sudden and devastating loss of their loved ones. With each new case, paranoia spread like wildfire, turning Salem from a peaceful community into a place gripped by suspicion and mistrust. Efforts to contain the outbreak were thwarted by the lack of understanding about the illness and the absence of effective medical treatments. Families isolated themselves in an attempt to protect their households, but the fear of contamination lingered, as no one knew who or what was responsible for the deadly affliction sweeping through their town. In the absence of concrete evidence, wild theories emerged, ranging from a vengeful spirit haunting the community to deliberate poisoning by a malevolent individual with unknown motives. As the community grappled with the escalating crisis, authorities launched investigations, but progress was slow and inconclusive. The once cohesive fabric of Salem's society began to fray under the strain of suspicion and fear, with neighbor turning against neighbor in their desperate search for answers and justice. The mystery of the illness and its victims cast a long shadow over Salem, leaving scars that would linger for years to come. The turning point came when a local doctor, conducting autopsies on the victims, found evidence of arsenic poisoning. The discovery of arsenic, a common rat poison at the time but also known to be used in intentional poisonings, pointed to a sinister explanation for the deaths. As the news spread through Salem, it instilled terror and disbelief. Suddenly, what had seemed like a series of tragic but natural occurrences took on a much darker hue. The community's fear quickly turned into a witch hunt atmosphere, with suspicion falling on various individuals, including family members of the victims, outcasts, and those with personal grudges or petty rivalries. One woman, in particular, became a focus of accusations due to her strained relationships with several of the victims' families. Despite a lack of concrete evidence, her reputation and behavior under scrutiny made her an easy target for frightened and grieving residents seeking someone to blame. The accusations against her intensified as rumors swirled about her alleged involvement in disputes with the victims and her access to arsenic. Her solitary nature and unconventional beliefs only fueled the suspicions against her, painting her as a potential witch or malevolent figure capable of such heinous acts. As tensions mounted, the once tight-knit community fractured, with neighbors turning against each other in a frenzy of fear and paranoia. The witch hunt reached its peak as vigilante justice seemed imminent. Fearing for her safety, the accused woman retreated into seclusion, hoping to escape the wrath of her accusers. Meanwhile, authorities scrambled to maintain order and conduct a thorough investigation amidst the chaos and hysteria gripping Salem. The case of the suspected poisoner became a symbol of the community's collective fear and desperation, highlighting the fragility of trust and the dangers of scapegoating in times of crisis. The accusations led to legal actions, with arrests made and trials set to determine the guilt of those accused of the poisonings. The trials were highly publicized, drawing attention not just from the local community but from neighboring areas as well. Newspapers reported on the proceedings, feeding the public's fascination and horror with the case. As the accused stood before the courts, the eyes of the nation seemed fixed on Salem, waiting for justice to be served and for the truth to be revealed. Despite the fervent accusations and public outcry, the trials were fraught with challenges, notably the lack of direct evidence linking the accused to the poisonings. Testimonies relied heavily on hearsay and circumstantial evidence, reflecting the emotional charge and desperation of the community to find and punish the perpetrator. Witnesses recounted their suspicions and grievances, often fueled by personal vendettas or long-standing animosities, rather than concrete proof of guilt. The legal proceedings became a spectacle of drama and intrigue, as attorneys clashed over the admissibility of evidence and the credibility of witnesses. The accused, some of whom were innocent bystanders caught in the hysteria, faced intense scrutiny and pressure to prove their innocence. Meanwhile, the families of the victims sought closure and justice for their loved ones, hoping to find solace in the courtroom's verdict. Despite the challenges, the trials moved forward, each session unfolding with heightened tension and anticipation. As the evidence was presented and arguments were made, the community held its breath, awaiting the moment when the truth would be revealed. Yet, as the trials progressed, it became increasingly clear that the case was far from straightforward, and the quest for justice would be neither swift nor easy. Ultimately, the absence of compelling proof led to acquittals, leaving the community without closure and the poisonings officially unsolved. The accused, even after being cleared of charges, faced lingering suspicion and were ostracized, with some choosing to leave Salem to escape the stigma. Despite the verdicts, the cloud of suspicion hung heavily over those who had been accused, tarnishing their reputations and fracturing relationships within the community irreparably. For many, the wounds of suspicion and mistrust would never fully heal. The Salem Poisoning of 1830 left a lasting scar on the community, highlighting the dangers of mass hysteria and the human tendency to seek simple explanations for complex issues. It serves as a grim reminder of how fear and suspicion can turn neighbors against one another, leading to tragedy and injustice. The case exposed the vulnerability of society to panic and misinformation, demonstrating the devastating consequences when hysteria replaces reason and mob mentality takes hold. In the aftermath of the poisonings, Salem struggled to rebuild trust and unity, grappling with the trauma and divisions left in the wake of the accusations. The events of 1830 became a stark reminder, prompting reflection on the dangers of unchecked fear and the importance of evidence-based justice. While the true cause of the illnesses may never be known, the legacy of the Salem Poisoning serves as a sobering reminder of the fragility of community bonds and the need for vigilance against the destructive forces of hysteria and suspicion. The Salem Poisoning remains a captivating episode in American history, highlighting the vulnerability of social cohesion when faced with inexplicable challenges. It emphasizes the significance of critical thinking and due process in the pursuit of justice, principles that continue to hold relevance in today's society. The events of 1830 underscore the dangers of yielding to fear and hysteria, and the enduring consequences of unfounded accusations and mob mentality. As our society confronts complex issues and uncertainties, the Salem Poisoning prompts us to remain vigilant against the impulse to scapegoat and condemn others in times of crisis. It reminds us of the importance of evidence-based reasoning, fair trials, and the presumption of innocence, cornerstones of a just and equitable society. By reflecting on past mistakes, we can strive to create a future where justice is administered with integrity and empathy, and where the rights and dignity of all individuals are upheld.
I would like to thank you for watching the video to the end. To encourage us to make more videos, please like, subscribe, comment, as well as share. Check out this other video if you haven't already.